Hi, Dr. Becca here with Del Mar Center for Behavioral Health. I wanted to make a video to talk a little bit about what you can expect when starting ABA or Applied Behavior Analysis services here at Del Mar Center for Behavioral Health. ABA is an intensive intervention that's aimed at helping improve or see more of the behaviors that will help an individual be successful, and then seeing less of the behaviors that might be getting in someone's way of their ability to be successful. Typically, so there's going to be some subtle differences depending on your insurance, but in general, the way the process works is if you call and you are interested in receiving services, our director of details will ask some questions about you and your child, and we'll pass that information along to one of the clinicians, one of our BCBAs or board certified behavior analysts. BCBAs serve as the supervisor of cases. So a BCBA has at least a master's degree and specific training in behavior analysis, as well as what's called kind of like an internship, where they work under a BCBA to learn more of that practical applied experience to complement their more formal educational experience. The BCBA will set up a time to meet with a family to do what we call an intake. An intake can also be called an assessment, and that's when we're gathering a lot of information about your child's history, current behaviors, things that are important to your family to work on, and then do some assessment of your child's skills to help get an idea about where we want to start for services. Then after that, the BCBA will write a report or pull together all of that really great information that was learned from you and about your child, and then that report will include recommendations of service. So that means that based on each child or adolescent's skills, symptoms, and behaviors, we make recommendations on how much, right, or kind of a dosage of service that an individual needs to, in order to benefit. So you can kind of think about it like if you have a little headache, you take one Tylenol, right? Maybe you have a bigger headache, you take two. So if there are more impairments or maybe more symptoms and behaviors to work on, then there's going to be a more intensive dose or more intensive services recommended. We make our recommendations based on the symptoms and behaviors, and then we'll talk with your family about what feels manageable to implement or what feels manageable to do. Sometimes things that come into play here are distance from the clinic, or whether the child's in school or not, other therapies. We want to be flexible and firm, right? So we want to be flexible in that we want to be able to meet your family where you're at and to understand that there are a variety of other responsibilities and things happening for each family, while also being firm in our clinical recommendation. Because we make those recommendations based on what we believe the child or adolescent needs in order to make progress. And we have to hold firm to some of that, because if you're participating in a treatment, you're not likely to get benefit from it because it's not intensive enough of a service, then we're really doing a disservice by saying we're recommending this, but we're going to do this instead if there's a big difference between what we're recommending. Then after the report and the assessment are reviewed, that is submitted to your insurance. And then the insurance has to review that recommendation and either approve or deny what we're asking for. Then once we get the approval in, then we will reach out and talk about starting services. It's important to know that, again, ABA is a more intensive service. So kids can be receiving anywhere from 10 to 30 hours a week, depending on a variety of factors like age. And I say age because more intensive intervention has been shown to be the most impactful and effective for kids with autism. So those really early learners, so kind of 18 months to 3 or 4, even 5 years old, we want to be as intensive in our intervention as possible so that we can make as most gains as possible. So then hopefully maybe your family won't need us for very long, right? Or that we'll be able to move towards less intensive services as the child gets older because their availability is going to be less because they'll be in school as well. So that early developmental period is so critical and really a great time to intervene as intensively as possible so that we can really get the most return on that investment. And right, the investment is the time spent in intervention with your child. There's a lot of literature that supports behavior analysis as an effective intervention for kids with autism spectrum disorder, which is why it's covered by insurances or many insurances. The Department of Defense, the Attorney General, they all have endorsed ABA as one of the best interventions for kids with autism. We at Del Mar Center for Behavioral Health offer a variety of services. So we have ABA therapy, we have speech therapy, we may have occupational therapy, we have mental health, so what's thought of as more traditional psychotherapy, whether it's for siblings, the child, moms, right? We specialize in maternal mental health. It's important to us that the entire family is getting support because we certainly recognize that autism and other disabilities affect the entire family, not just the individual with the disability. And by supporting the family as a whole, we're really able to make the biggest impact for families. Your child will have a team, we call them treatment teams. So the BCBA I mentioned is the leader of that team and has the master's degree or above and the specific training and experience in behavior analysis. And then there'll be what's called registered behavior technicians or RBTs. There's going to be a lot of acronyms, and that's okay. You'll learn them. And we actually have a cheat sheet in our intake packet that will hopefully be helpful with that. RBTs have at least a bachelor's degree and specialized training in behavior analysis and have passed a credential, an exam, demonstrating minimal competency. RBTs work under the direction of a BCBA, so RBTs are not independent clinicians. They deliver or implement the plans created by the BCBA, and so you're likely to have a few different RBTs on your child's treatment team, and we do that for a few reasons. One being we want to be sure that your child is learning how to work with a variety of people. We call that generalization. So I don't want the child to only be able to work with me. I want them to be able to work with other individuals so that they're not learning skills in the clinic or with me, and then they're not able to apply them elsewhere. Because the goal is to work ourselves out of a job. And so it might seem funny, but at intake, we already start talking about discharge. Because we accept medical insurance, or if your medical insurance is funding your services, it's important to know that we can only provide services that are medically necessary. And sometimes that comes up because families might want us to work on academic skills because a child might be falling behind in school. We're not permitted to do that. We can only provide services for medically necessary skills and behaviors because medical insurance is paying for it. Any academic support needs to come from the educational system or private tutoring. And if that's something you're interested in, we can certainly share some resources in our community, but we do like to be very clear that we are only able to work on specific behaviors based on the funding source, right, which is medical insurance and the guidelines around medical necessity. Back to the treatment team. So there will be a variety of people working with your child. And sometimes that can be hard because then you're learning new people and you're kind of having to remember a schedule. And we will send that to you as much or as little as you need because everything changes. And it's important that your child is learning to work with a variety of people. It also helps to build capacity so that, so we're recommending a certain service schedule. And so if one of our staff members is out or they're a military spouse and their family PCSs, we want to be sure that you are not starting over from scratch and that your child has, maybe they'll have a new person come aboard that team to replace the person who's left, but that there are still people that the child and you know and are comfortable with. And so it's not a whole new team. So to have multiple people on a team also helps to ensure that we are building capacity to be able to provide as much service as possible as we recommend it, and that service isn't being limited only by our availability. Services generally occur in the clinic and some in-home settings sometimes it's BCBA direct services, sometimes it's RBT direct services. The RBTs are required to have supervision. The Behavior Analyst Certification Board is who gives out that credential when you earn it. And so you can learn more about those different credentials and certifications at www.bacb.com. And of course, we'll have ongoing discussions about this all through treatment. This is not this is the only time you'll hear this information. We'll talk often about all of this to be sure that you are well-informed, because the only good decisions are well-informed decisions, and you're a super important part of this treatment team because you know your child best. We may know psychology or speech and language or behavior analysis, but you truly are the expert on your child, and so we want to be sure that you're an active participant in the process. So there'll be a variety of people working with your child for practical reasons, but also clinical reasons. And again, we'll be talking about discharge from the very beginning. So our job is to work ourselves out of a job. So the goal is for your family to be independently successful without us, right? So that you're not having to always have somebody come into your house or to schlep to appointments. We really want to help give your child the skills to be successful and then to teach you some of the things that we're doing to help you be successful with your child. Then after we have the authorization, we will start with services. And nothing is written in stone. So if we try a schedule and it's not working, reach out to the supervisor of your case and we can reevaluate that. Or maybe once we start working, we realize, gosh, we thought this was a good goal and maybe we need to modify that. It's all written in pencil, right? It's science. It's behavior analysis is the science of behavior. And so really everything is a hypothesis. And then based on when we get more data, we'll change that hypothesis and change what we're doing so that it's the best fit for your child. And that's really key. And that's why everything is one-on-one. So your child will not be in a small group. They'll be working one-on-one with either an RBT or a BCBA or the SLP or a psychologist. Everything is one-on-one so that one person's only job is to be focused on your child and what they're doing and how they're responding, and then implementing the science-based programs that are the best fit for that. And if we're trying something and it's not working, we're not going to stay in that space. We're going to work to make a modification and change it so that it's a better fit, and then continue to take data and then make data-based decisions, which means they're not, I call them cardiac assessments, right? I feel like he's doing well. I feel like he wants something different. We're taking data every interaction, and that data is logged in our electronic health record that you'll have access to in a parent portal so that you can log in if you're interested and look at the data and see how things are going. And then again, based on that data, if it's trending, right, or going up, if we want it to go up, we keep doing what we're doing. And if it's going down and we want it to go up, we need to look at what we need to do different to help the child or adolescent move towards his or her goals. There's lots of other videos on our YouTube page talking about data and different clinicians and all sorts of different processes, so please feel free to review those. And again, none of the videos are meant to replace conversations with your child's treatment team. So with any questions or concerns, always go to the supervisor of the case, which is the BCBA. And if there's ever any concerns with the BCBA or any really big concerns, you can always come to me directly. I'm here to help support whether I serve directly on your child's case or not. I'm always a part of all the treatment planning that's happening here at Del Mar. We are really excited to have you join us. The intake packet is a folder with lots of information in there about the different services we provide, cancellations, closures, payment policies, a variety of things. That's not super scintillating reading and is really important because, again, the only good decisions are well-informed decisions, and we want to be sure that your decision to come receive services with us at Del Mar is because you believe it'll be the best fit for your family. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We look forward to serving you.